If you think your corporate W-2 job is the safest way to build wealth in 2026, you are mathematically setting yourself up for bankruptcy. Society conditioned you to believe that a bi-weekly direct deposit, a 3% 401k match, and employer-sponsored health insurance form an impenetrable safety net. That was true in 1998. Today, holding a single 9-to-5 job is the highest-risk financial strategy you can possibly run. You are essentially taking 100% of your earning potential and putting it into a single, highly volatile stock. If that company misses an earnings call, or if an algorithm decides your department is redundant, your revenue drops to zero overnight. Look at the raw economic data. True inflation over the last 4 years has aggressively detached from standard corporate wage grids. A standard 3% annual merit increase isn't a raise, it is a mandatory pay cut masked as a reward. When you factor in the 2026 cost of housing, healthcare premiums, and basic groceries, the compounding rate of your expenses is annihilating your linear salary. You are systematically moving backward while defending the system that is draining you. Let's look at historical precedents to see why this is so dangerous. In the 1970s stagflation era, prices skyrocketed, but organized labor and union contracts meant wages often forcibly kept pace. Debt became cheaper to inflate away. In the 2008 housing crash, the bubble violently burst, wiping out over-leveraged asset owners. But many core W-2 jobs eventually recovered as the government printed money to stabilize corporations. The stagnation we face right now in 2026 is a completely different beast. It is a silent, algorithmic margin compression. Corporations are reporting record profits while simultaneously executing massive waves of silent layoffs. They are replacing 40-year-old middle managers with offshore talent and automated systems. If you get cut, there is no massive government bailout for you. You go from 100% of your income to 0% in the span of a 15-minute Zoom call. Yet, the psychological conditioning keeps you defending this broken system. You suffer from the secret shame of the high-income earner. You make a good salary, so you feel immense societal pressure to buy a $500,000 house at a 7% interest rate and lease a $60,000 SUV. You try desperately to maintain a premium mediocre aesthetic. You project the image of an affluent professional, but behind closed doors, you are drowning in a terrifying lack of liquidity. You are trapped in a cycle of high status, high stress, and absolute zero leverage. You are terrified of your boss because you know a single restructuring event will trigger total financial ruin. You are paying a massive premium just to avoid looking poor to your coworkers. Let's break down the exact math of the W-2 penalty. As a high-earning employee, you generate revenue through the most heavily penalized mechanism in the United States tax code. If you earn $150,000, you are instantly hit with a 24% federal bracket, plus FICA, plus state taxes. You lose nearly $50,000 before you even see a dime. The actual wealthy do not pay these rates. They earn through equity, capital gains, and leveraged debt, paying a fraction of what you do. Take a micro case study. A tech worker making $180,000 in California takes home roughly $105,000 after all taxes and state deductions. Meanwhile, a real estate investor calling that same amount in rental income leverages depreciation to pay near zero in taxes. This brings us to the core concept you must understand. I call it the concentrated risk paradox. If you went to a wealth manager and told them you wanted to invest 100% of your life savings into one single tech startup, they would call you insane. They would explain that zero diversification is financial suicide. Yet, society tells you to take 100% of your time, energy, and earning potential and invest it entirely into a single employer. You put all your chips on one corporation and call it safety. It is the exact opposite. It is a catastrophic concentration of risk. The concentrated risk paradox dictates that by optimizing for perceived stability, you absorb maximum vulnerability. When you have a single point of failure, you operate entirely from a place of fear. You don't ask for the raise you actually deserve. You work the weekends you should be spending with your family. You accept toxic management and stagnant wages because you know your entire financial house of cards collapses the second that bi-weekly deposit stops. You hold all the downside risk, while your corporate employer reaps all the asymmetric upside of your labor. To break out of this trap, you must fundamentally restructure how you view your career. You need to implement the consultant mindset shift. The fatal flaw of the 9-to-5 is the linear equation. You trade 1 hour for a fixed amount of dollars. You will never outpace compounding inflation with a linear income model. The consultant mindset shift forces you to stop thinking like a compliant, dependent employee and start operating like a free agent business of one. You must mentally detach your financial security from the concept of a salary. Your employer is no longer your provider. Your employer is simply your current largest client. When you are an employee, you are a subordinate. When you view yourself as a consultant whose biggest client happens to be the corporation you work for, the entire power dynamic shifts. You stop taking office politics personally. You stop wasting emotional bandwidth on corporate theater. You focus strictly on delivering high-impact value, extracting the maximum capital for the minimum effective dose of your time. You establish boundaries because a consultant does not work for free on a Sunday morning to appease a middle manager. Your immediate actionable step today is to artificially freeze your lifestyle expenses and start buying back your autonomy. Take the delta between your frozen living expenses and your take-home pay and relentlessly acquire assets that detach your income from your time. You buy dividend-paying equities. You buy income-producing real estate. You build automated digital cash flows. You must build a secondary, independent financial system that operates entirely outside the corporate matrix. You probably think the next logical step is to just negotiate a massive raise at your current job. You think jumping ship to a competitor for a huge salary bump will solve your problems. You think that if you can just push your W-2 income past that magical six-figure mark, all of this concentrated risk will instantly disappear and you will finally be wealthy. That is exactly what the system wants you to believe, and it is a fatal miscalculation. There is a massive mathematical illusion waiting for you when you rely on a high salary to build wealth. A hidden problem exists that will completely vaporize all the money you just saved. If you don't understand this exact math, everything we just talked about will fail. You will just become a slightly higher paid prisoner in the exact same trap. The breakdown of why hitting that income milestone will actually accelerate your path to bankruptcy is fully revealed in my other video, The Six-Figure Trap: Why Earning $100,000 is Mathematically Keeping You Broke. Click the video on your screen right now, and I will show you the exact numbers.